Getting older can sometimes suck, and getting older in the age of social media definitely sucks. If you're tired of people telling you to age gracefully, then you're in the right place. This is all about living your best life at any age. First rule, don't call me ma'am. Hey everyone, I'm Jodi Miller, and you're listening to Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't call me ma'am. I am so excited for today's guest. I know I say that a lot, but honestly, I read an article about her in the LA Times, almost said New York Times, the LA Times, and I reached right out because I was so excited to talk to her for multiple reasons, which we're going to get into. She is an amazing woman who performs all over, right? All over. Guys, she is a pole dancer, right?
That's
right. And guess what? She's 71 years old. And when I read the article in the LA Times, I was blown away. Just blown away. Guys, start clapping right now. And by that, I mean pull over to the side of the road and then clap because we want you to be safe. For Mary Carroll. Yay!
Thanks for having me.
I mean, honestly, I've been waiting for this day because you are such an inspiration to so many women out there. And I want to obviously talk, we're going to get into, obviously our society that's obsessed with youth and what we think it is to get older and how it's slowly changing and how people like you are actually helping to change that. But first, I need to know, how did you even get in to pole dancing? Because I tried it once and that was it. And I was like in my 30s. I was like, okay, let's just get a latte.
Well, first of all, that's the problem. You only tried it once.
Yes.
So if you're going to try pole dancing, you have to go, I say at least 4 times. So the first time you're going to go, oh my God, I'm not flexible, I'm not strong, I am so clumsy, and I'm sore all over. So once you get beyond that and you go back for your second time, you find, oh, I'm not as clumsy as I thought I was. So yeah, you have to try it more. That's the first thing.
How old were you when you started?
57.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's amazing. So tell me how that even came about.
Well,
were you athletic growing up?
I did do gymnastics in high school, but I grew up in North Dakota, so we did not compete. I just performed at the basketball games. I actually still have an old video of that. Oh my God, that thing. Yes, I know it.
That's amazing.
So I wasn't really athletic. I didn't like anything with the ball except volleyball. I loved volleyball.
By the way, anybody just tuning in heard flexible, pole, and ball. And you're probably thinking this is a different type of podcast, but it's not. We're talking about pole dancing.
Yeah.
with our clothes on, basically. Yeah. Okay.
Whoa, that was quick. I love it. Yeah.
So you weren't that athletic, and then you got older, and then tell me how you got to.
Yeah. Oh, I did like to swim. I liked to swim, but I wasn't really the one to go on the softball team, anything like that. No, that was not me. I loved to dance. I always loved to dance, but I didn't have a formal training at all. It was just something that I like to do. Just get up there and have fun. Yeah, move. That's so important. Yep. We'll talk about that later. Very important. And then one day I was having coffee with a girlfriend, and she said, well, they brought pole dancing to my gym. And I don't know, there was something about it. I said, well, I have to try that. So I went with her, and I just was hooked. I couldn't do anything, but it was something about it that just said, boy, I just have to explore this. And I did. Sure enough, the gym disbanded it because it just wasn't enough interest, and it took a lot of space. And I found another studio, and it was right about the time that things were starting to develop pole dance studio-wise around LA.
When I first moved out here, it was everywhere.
Yeah. And so it wasn't that difficult to find one. And we would do fun things like we would have trashy tango pole and, dance on, one studio had a bar in it that we would dance on the monkey bars on the pole. And here I am, 57, and I'm dancing on the monkey bars on the bar in the pole studio. Oh, it was fun. But I made some friends, and I made a lot of friends who were not anywhere near my age. They were more like my kids' age.
Right.
But it was fun. I mean, the age barrier there didn't even exist. I was part of their group when we were going to go to an event or a birthday party or a shower or whatever. I was always included. It was never like, oh, she's too old. It was never that. So that group got it about aging. It was so natural to just be part of it. And, we had a common activity.
Yeah, that's definitely important. And having a community of people that are supportive keeps you going too, because it could have been the opposite. They could have been like, what is she doing here? We're not going to include her. And then that could have honestly just turned you off from that whole experience. When I've seen some of your videos, now you just said you weren't even that flexible, which I was going to ask, because you do like the full splits, like you're almost like you're just completely. I'm like, I don't even know. Yeah. And as someone who also, I was a gymnast growing up, and I'm very athletic, but not that flexible. I've never been very, very flexible. I've been okay, but those splits, I don't even think in gymnastics I was able to do that. So were you able to do that immediately? How long did that take?
Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. I kind of meant flexibility in general for people. So the flexibility part for me personally was the easier part. Yeah, I was kind of born that way. I remember my aunt and my mom were talking about when I was a baby and my legs would just flop. And one day the neighbor came over and said to my mom, oh my God. And I was doing something in the playpen, which I have no idea what I was doing. I can't even imagine. So I was born more flexible. So you could do
like the Russian splits and all of that when you were young?
Yeah, I was, and I didn't even realize. I knew I was flexible, but not how flexible till I never knew what an oversplit was growing up. And then when it came, like try an oversplit. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, there you go.
What's an oversplit for people?
Well, an oversplit would be like I would put my leg on that stool and my butt would be on the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'd
so
be
that's
broken.
An oversplit.
My leg would come off like a Barbie doll.
And you can do a lesser oversplit if you just want to put one yoga block and put your leg on it and get your bottom on the floor.
So that is something though. Like, so let's say I started to do this. It is something that you can like slowly get there the more you do it.
You can. And everybody, of course, is built a little differently. Our anatomy, our muscles, the length of muscle to the tendons and ligaments is different in everybody. And those whose muscles are longer will have an easier time. Also, people like me and other flexible gymnasts and dancers might have been born with a mild hip dysplasia, which is going to give us that rotation, like having a tire made for a Volkswagen and you put it in a truck and it's like, this is fun, round and round and round, lots of room. And then if it gets jammed, you have a problem, which it did in my case. And then I ended up needing a hip replacement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had one almost 5 years ago.
Wow. And how is it now?
It's great. My surgeon I think he was 36 at the time. But, I showed him a picture of something that I did, a very flexy picture. And he goes, I think you'll be able to do it. He's my guy. And I said,
great.
Plus, if he's under 40, he's got to be able to see what he's doing when he gets in there.
Absolutely. His eyesight is fine.
Yeah.
Is he single? Is that guy single?
No, he's not.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, that is so amazing. And for someone who is now in her 50s, I know more than ever how important it is. And I think this is something that's really just coming out now. I don't think it was the case 10 years ago, but it's coming out that strength training when you're even over 45 is so important.
Yes.
Compared to just doing cardio, because when we're in our 20s, they're like, work it, run, sweat, like just keep going. And now it's more like strength training.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing just within the last 2 years, my muscle mass, my legs are very muscular, but they've already even though I'm working out, I can just see the loss of muscle mass.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like you have to keep working on that.
Yes, that natural muscle diminishes over time. You really have to keep working on it. And when you do, then you tighten up everything. The fascia, everything starts to tighten up and firm up. Your face, your skin gets better because you're working all those muscles. So it's circulating everything. And part of my, people say, well, what tips do I have? They're so simple. They're really.
Well, let's hear them.
Keep moving.
Keep moving.
Drink an extra glass or two of water from what you're drinking, because a lot of people live their life a little dehydrated.
I'm that person.
Yeah. And it's easy because, we're running around. Where's the bathroom? And you know how that goes. We were just...
I know, we were just peeing together, guys.
Yeah.
I know. Visualize that, everyone. But it happens. That is the first thing, and it's because apparently we actually pee in the womb. So our bladders have been going as long as our hearts. So our bladders are just like, we're done.
Yeah.
I think when you hit a certain age, your bladder's like, we're done.
Oh, well,
You got to go more. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And then I just say, look to be happy, even if things don't go your way. And yeah, we can all have our pity parties. I have my own, but nobody ever comes. They never come.
It's not an invitation that most people are.
Yeah, it's like when I found out I needed a hip replacement.
Right.
I went home and had a pit. Nobody came. They don't want to come. Nobody wants to come. And if things go wrong, and I've had things go wrong, and last spring I have a pole dance wear line. Mary Carroll Designs, and I was going to vend them there, and I made it there after 28 hours of travel, missed the first day and a half. My luggage never made it, and it was just a nightmare. But when I got there, I said, I'm just going to see friends, going to have friends. Nobody wants to hear this mean, nasty story about what happened. So I just made the best I could of it. And, the weekend was fun with the friends, but I didn't make any money. I didn't sell anything, that's for sure.
It's hard. It is hard, by the way, nowadays, too, to not overshare everything, not just the good things, the bad things. And I think we share more of the negative things because sometimes when we share the amazing things that are happening in our life, there are certain people that are like, well, I don't want to hear that. Like, your life is so good. And that's a terrible thing. That's terrible. So then I think for me, I've been trained to be like, for a long time, I would just downplay all the good things in my life. And then I got to a place I was like, no, I'm owning all of my shit. But I think with like social media, people feel free to go on social media and just air everything.
Yeah.
And I was not brought up that way. You know what I mean? So I understand. I probably would have complained, but I would have used humor.
That's what I did.
Yes, of course. And what is you going to do? It's like flights getting canceled, your luggage getting lost. I mean, the only thing you can do is honestly use humor to get through it, which is my motto for everything. Yeah. Not just because I'm a comedian, but it's helped me immensely.
Well, I also think that when you're telling a story, whether it's a negative or positive, you have to think about two things. One, the itch that has to be scratched. What do they want to know about your story? And the other is, why should they care?
Right.
Why should anybody care if I lost my luggage and, I spent 28 hours in the airport? It's like, you got to make it like, okay, this is what happened and fun.
Yes.
I mean, because then they don't want to hear a sob story.
Nobody does. No. They have their own.
It's like, I need to go get a glass of water.
Yes, exactly. I would be like, I need to get a glass of wine.
Yeah, that would be even better.
Yes, even better. So wait, so you have kids? Yeah, how many kids do you have?
I do. I have 3 of my own and 1 stepson. Okay. They're all grown, of course.
And what do they think about the pole dancing?
Oh, well, when I started this, they were, my boys were wrestlers in high school. Okay. And they were like, Mom, we like it that you're fit, or you want to be fit, but pole dancing. So now they're okay with it. And my daughter was, oh, Mom, she was excited for me. My stepson never told me how he felt. So I don't know. My husband was like, well, you might get hurt. I mean, that was his physically get hurt. He was more worried about that. And there was a lot of misunderstanding about pole dancing. I think that, the general public gets their information the wrong way. They get it from, seeing a pole dancer before she's going to get murdered. And one of them murdered.
It's usually, yes, absolutely. And a CSI.
So that's their interpretation of pole dancing. But the thing is that I'm a judge for taking it to the Olympics. There are a couple of organizations. I'm a judge with one of them. And we're trying to bring about the athleticism of the pole dance.
Oh my God, it is a sport. Oh my, it is unbelievable. Again, I did it once, and I am athletic, and I was like, what am I doing? Not that I would love to try it again. You should. 4 times. I'm going to try it 4 times.
4 times.
But yes, I mean, especially, again, I have to change up my workout routine because the way I used to work out doesn't work the way it used to. I mean, I'm already thin, but again, I'm losing my muscles. Yeah. And I don't want to do that, you know what I mean? I also, I have a toddler. I have to, you know what I mean, be there and strong and pick her up, which definitely is, you know what I mean?
She's your little weight.
She is my weight. I used to do squats with her when she was a newborn. I can't do them much anymore, but I try. But there is a lot of misconceptions about the pole dancing community. What are some other Besides,
well, I think
people don't
that's
assume it's a
the
sport.
big one, is that the general public doesn't see it as an athletic or even a lyrical activity. We can tell stories on the pole. We can create characters, costumes, and add music, do mashups. That's more than one song together.
Right.
Yeah, and create, like a beautiful story on the pole. So there's a lot more to it than just stripper pole. And you can also do a very sexy, fabulous dance.
Yes.
Yeah, without it being a stripper pole.
It's very confusing to me that they wouldn't see that, because people love burlesque.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
Burlesque is so just accepted as that. So it's very similar to me if you're telling the story, and it's, a very beautiful and sometimes sexy dance on the pole. It's very similar to burlesque.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, just to back up a second here, you said you're over 50.
Yes.
And when all this started coming out in the LA Times, et cetera, it's gone around the world.
Right.
Well, at our pole studio, we've kind of maybe we need to kind of rethink this and bring in some classes for women who are older, who have not been active, because we finish our education and then we get a job and we might get married, we might have kids, or whatever combination of stuff in our life, and all of a sudden we're left on the back burner, and then you want to start something up. Well, you're going to have to do some conditioning first, because if you haven't been doing that, it's not like you're going to get in there and all of a sudden up on the pole. No. So some good conditioning, having fun, being with a group of usually women. There are some men who do it too, but it's usually women who can support each other and really help to say, you're not over the hill. You're not past your sensuality, your beauty, your life as a woman. So find it and have fun with it. Swivel those hips a little bit. Try those platform shoes on.
Yes. First of all, I'm going to talk about what you just said in a second, but before I forget, because I'll forget everything. The platform shoes. Oh my God.
I know.
Look at her page. I'll have all the information down below. But and I'm somebody that's walked in very high heels.
I love high heels.
I do too, but I'm at a place where, again, I'm chasing a toddler around, but I look at those and I'm like, oh my God. So how they're comfortable?
First of all, they are. The platform is, oh my God, there's nothing more comfortable than that platform. It's super soft and kind of mushy. It's just really nice. But the thing is, it's like you can put them on and you can creep up to the pole on your knees and grab onto it and, pull yourself up. But you better learn to walk in those things, because you cannot rely on that pole being there. So that takes some balance.
Yes.
And some
How many
strength
inches are those?
training. The ones I use are 7.
Jesus,
Yeah,
7
but they
inches.
they can be 5, 6.
Right.
7 is pretty popular. So is 8. Occasionally, you'll see somebody put on a 9 or even a 10-inch. I think they're crazy, but
some women like a 9 or a 10-inch.
They are. Let me tell you, they really are. Oh yeah, they do. Okay.
I can't. It just was there. I had to grab it.
That was good. Yeah.
You do have to work up to that. We're not telling these people listening to this I'm going to go grab a 7-inch pair of heels.
No, you can twist an ankle. You better know how to.
Easily.
And part of that is strength training of your legs.
Yes.
Because you need that strength. And the beauty of this, the one thing, when my husband was like, "Well, I'm afraid you're going to get hurt."
Right.
It's like, I need to do this because I need to strengthen my body so that if I do fall, I'm less likely to get hurt. I'm talking about just walking places. Yeah. And I'm going to be more flexible,
Recovery
stronger,
time will be
and
faster.
more balanced. That, I won't fall, or it'll be easier.
But it'll be easier to recover from. That's so true. That's another reason why that you have to keep moving. Honestly, body in motion stays in motion. Keep moving.
Keep moving. Yes. And you do it for yourself, but when you're doing it for yourself, you're also doing it for the people that you love, because you're going to be healthier. You're going to be in a better position to do the things that you want to with them or for them. Yes.
And also, and you brought this up, and we were talking about it earlier, there is obviously an obsession, especially in this country, with youth. This is not new information, people. literally. And now, we constantly look on social media that reminds us how young we were. Remember this memory 10 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Where do we do it to ourselves? We look on there, we compare ourselves to other people, we see people with filters. You said over the hill, that's what it used to be. Over the hill, the second you turn 50, we're over the hill. AARP comes knocking on your door, all of those things.
Yeah.
The truth is that now we're finally having conversations about menopause, about other things like this, staying young, looking fit. There was, honestly, for so long, it was, don't talk about your age. Don't mention your age. Women would lie about their age. And when I was younger, I was like, why would they lie about their age? And then I got older and I was like, oh, I get it. Because I don't want to tell someone my age and have them perceive me in a certain way, look at me in a different way, like, oh, I didn't know you were that old, and have that look. Truthfully, though, we should be proud of our age, because what we're doing when we look at someone like you or someone like me is we're saying it's okay to be this age and look at, we can do everything and we look great doing it, and then we take the stigma away from it. And now women that are in their 30s are like, that's awesome, look at her, I can't wait to be 71, you know what I mean? I can't wait to be this age. It doesn't, what we have in our minds of what we're gonna look like or how we're gonna feel at that age, that's not our future. It doesn't have to be our future. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, I have a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, for example, last September I did the comedy pole show here in LA, and I did a disco medley piece. So I had to create these bell bottoms on a garter because I needed to have skin on the pole, like my thighs.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, and then be able to move that up and all that. And I knew the LA Times was going to be there to cover it, and so did the Christina, the producer. And she said, would you want me to tell them how old you are? I said, afterwards is okay, because I wanted them to look at the performance, not base it on, oh, look what she's doing at 71, but I wanted them just to enjoy it. So age should be just sort of irrelevant. Like, you don't need to tell people, it should not be how you fully identify yourself. It's part of us. And we do need to talk about it as we are, because there is a great fear, which brings me to my second point, in that when I started doing this, the younger women would like, oh, I want to be you when I grow up. Of course, my pat answer is, well, I'm not done growing up yet. But I understood what they meant, because they didn't want to feel that they had an expiration date, that they couldn't, continue, and that there was going to be a time when they'd have to hang up their hat and say it's all done. No, you just keep going. Age is irrelevant as long as you take care of yourself and you believe that you can do these things if you want to do them.
If you want to do them, yes. When I first started talking about my age, it didn't ever even occur to me when I was in my 20s and 30s on stage. But I remember America's Got Talent put my age like in massive font, way bigger than my name. It was like my name was in small font, and then my age was like 42. I was like, Jesus Christ.
No.
But there it was, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna hide from it. I'm gonna talk about what it's like to date in your 40s, trying to get pregnant. It's not like, oh, look at me. I mean, of course, I don't. Yeah, I hate when people are like, you look so good for your age. Please don't ever say that to someone.
No,
they either
never
look
say
good
that.
or they don't look good. If they don't look good, you don't have to say shit. But I mean, like, don't say for your age. But I wanted to be on stage, and if it came up, like, I'm in my 40s or that happened, and I talked about, like, my age coming up there, I was like, oh my God. But I realized that there were so many other women out there that were like, thank you for just saying it like that. Just like you're saying it, because you're not like, I'm 42 or I'm 40. Like, I was proud of how old I am. I am now. And these are the experiences I've had. And, during my special, that was my main message to people, is that you haven't aged out of your life. You haven't aged out of your career. You haven't aged out of your love life. You haven't aged out of pole dancing. You haven't aged out of you haven't aged out of anything. Unless you've given up, and which, in my opinion, then you know what I mean? It's like, get moving, do what you want to do. There's always time. Nothing's guaranteed. There's just nothing is guaranteed.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're going to get older, because that's just a thing. But
and that's a privilege, I think.
I think so too. But a lot of how you age is optional.
Yes, that's right.
It really is. You can decide that you're going to fight it. For an example would be like if somebody goes to the doctor and they've got some, issues with walking around. Oh, here's your cane. Oh, okay, doctor, take the cane. And, instead of like, well, what can I do to not use the cane to get better? You have to be able to say, well, what can I do? Because I think a lot of people accept it and they just say, it's just where I should be. No, you can do and be as much as you want. Obviously, there are going to be some changes as you get older. It takes
work, too.
It does. It takes work. You have to put something into it.
Right. And I get that feeling of like, again, I have a 3.5-year-old, so there's a lot of days I am exhausted and I can't do the work. Like I can't, I know I should go to the gym today, but I really need some me time, which to me is as valuable because I don't think a lot of people take the me time. So I'm like, I'm going to choose to do something that I want to do, like get out in the backyard and do something. I'm still moving, but I'm not at the gym. But I am trying to be more disciplined with stuff like that. But I definitely am the person of like, what can I do? But there are a lot of people that are tired and overworked. And sometimes, though, you brought up like the doctor's like, here, your walker. A lot of times your doctor is just going to just be like, oh, here you go. You have to be an advocate for yourself.
You do. Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you have a great doctor, they will be like, hey, how about we make these lifestyle changes? But a lot of them don't. They're seeing a lot of patients. They're overwhelmed. Here's a walker. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Get those tennis balls on the bottom. Why do they still have the tennis balls on walkers?
I don't know.
Oh my God, how is that even possible?
I don't know. I don't know.
Come up with a better thing, or paint the tennis balls. I don't want to see one more tennis ball walker. But you're right. Like the doctors, they're not gonna advocate for you. You have to do it. You know what I mean?
That's
for yourself.
Exactly right. You have to be your own advocate. And an example of that was with my surgeon. When I went for my 2-year checkup, which you go first 1 year and then 2 year, and he said, this is remarkable. He says, irrespective of a hip replacement, your pelvis and your spine have greatly improved. And he knew what I was doing. He says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. But see, I did my part of it. And he did tell me after the surgery, he said, I did my part, now you do yours. And I knew what he meant. I listened to him because he made me be stiff as a board for 12 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like complaining about it. He goes, oh, we're so happy you're stiff as a board. I go, what? But they wanted the implant to really.
Right, to really heal and get it. Yes.
Yeah. And of course, once I could do it, then I, went to work on it and I got it back.
You have great posture, by the way. Every time I see something, I'm always like, I get it. My daughter also has great posture because she's tiny, so I'm always like, but that's a huge thing because my mom, you know what I mean, had the hunch, and you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm constantly.
Well, that's a muscular thing, if you think about it.
It is, you're right.
It's your muscles that are holding you up, and a lot of people do lose that. And I think I never really had a desk job. It just never was me.
Right.
But when you sit at a desk year after year after year after year, and then you go home and then you do things with kids and this and that, and then you don't get a chance to develop your core and to put it back into place, all of the organs inside kind of spread out.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people get that, a little bit larger, men and women, that little larger midsection than what they should have. I mean, it is going to get a little bigger, some of it you can't help, but.
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of it you can make positive changes.
What did you notice? What was like the biggest thing that you noticed, the change in your body when you started? You know what I mean? Once you got into the groove, like what were you like, oh, wow, this is, much different.
The muscles toned up, firmed up. I developed strength, which that was hard for me. And you cannot be a wet noodle and do anything on the pole. So it doesn't matter.
Have you ever put a wet noodle on a pole? You can't do it.
No, it doesn't matter how flexible you are. That was the easy part for me. I had to develop strength, and so I earned it. And when I did that, then all of my muscles got better. My body became firmer. It kind of changed shape a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine that it would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we are like clay mold. Think about it, from the time we were little babies to growing up, your body is continually changing. Sometimes you like the changes and sometimes you don't. But after adulthood, even in childhood, we have some control over how our body molds.
Right.
So we need to just keep working with it so it molds in a way that we like it. Just remember, you're the sculptor.
That's so true. I look at my daughter, who's like, again, 3.5, almost 4. She's filled with collagen, running around like a collagen ball.
Oh, yeah.
She's just like perfect. Her face is just all full, and she's just, her little body is adorable. She can eat whatever she wants, and she never even thinks about it. She's already, she's constantly moving. Yeah. She makes me, though, constantly move.
See, that's one of the keys.
It is. I mean, honestly, it's like, even if I don't go to the gym that day, I know later we're going to be playing Duck, Duck, Goose with me, her, and her baby dolls, which is annoying. But there's a lot of chasing around, a lot of running around. She likes to be chased around, a lot of that, so I'm constantly active. And again, I am definitely somebody who is high energy, so that isn't that hard for me to pull out. But I mean, it is really hard, especially today, I think it was a little bit different when I was a kid and when you were a kid. Like kids today, like I look at my daughter, she would love to be on the tablet, even at her age all the time. Kids are just on their devices all the time, sitting in front of the TV. I mean, I would come home from school and I was playing outside all day until dinner time.
Yeah, me too.
It's actually kind of dangerous if you think about it. My mom would just let me go with our friends. Like so far, no parents. We were like 8, right?
Yes.
How did we not get kidnapped?
I was like 10, 11, 12, and I would leave my home and walk through the railroad tracks to get to downtown to go shopping.
Yes, we would walk so far. By ourselves.
I know. And today I think, I can't even imagine that. We would go out, there was a river at the end of the block. The only thing my mom would ever say was stay away from the river because she didn't want us to go and drown. But never worry about somebody kidnapping
you, coming up, nothing.
No.
It's crazy. So we were outside all the time. In fact, we would take our bikes, no helmets. I'm not saying that you shouldn't.
No,
I'm saying, but we didn't. And I was like, and I had very hilly areas, and I would ride. And then it was right around when you'd see the lights start coming on and the sun would start setting, then you knew around what time it was, because nobody had a watch back then, and we didn't have like phones that at the time. Nobody knew what time it was.
Or your stomach might tell you.
Your stomach, or it was somebody's parent would scream out your name, like, Jodi! You just hear it somewhere so that you knew it was time for dinner, and then everyone was like, okay, I guess we gotta go.
Yeah.
But it was like nuts to think about it, but we were so active, and I honestly, it's like, I try to keep my daughter very active, and she's still at a good age where I can do that. It's going to get harder the older she gets, and more devices become at her, or at her disposal, and her friend. I kind of fear that, but it's kind of crazy to see just like kids. You know what I mean? Like they're not athletic. I don't even think there's a lot of schools that have PE anymore.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
It is sad. Yes.
Because they used to actually have that rope climbing, which I'm assuming has some similarities
yes, it
to pole
does.
climbing.
Yes.
And I couldn't do that either. My arms were, that is my goal. I'm saying it right here so everyone hears it. I've always been very muscular in the lower half of my body. Like, that's where my strength is. And as a gymnast, too, that was always my forte.
Yeah.
Those were always my strengths. And my arms, for whatever reason.
Oh, pole dancing, there you go.
I mean, honestly, that has always been my dream, to, like, rock, that sleeveless shirt with the definition. Like, almost body lifting, but not quite that. You know what I mean?
It is body lifting. You are lifting your body.
I am actually lifting my body, right?
Yeah,
but I don't mean like I don't want to look like a bodybuilder, but like I want the definition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you say that you interact with your daughter and you exercise running her, because I think people would find the opportunities in their life to create that movement. Maybe run down the stairs as opposed to taking the elevator when you're at work, or however you can find it.
Right.
If it's chasing. I know I always just say, well, yeah, when my kids were little, I say, my exercise was out of the washing machine, into the dryer, out of the go, because it was, I had to find it where I found it. And the only thing I did when they were growing up was not go to a gym, but I did stretch at home.
Right.
Yeah, because when you have that many kids, it's not, nobody wants to babysit them. Oh my God. And especially because you want to go to the gym. No. So, yeah.
It's really hard to find the time, but there are things you can definitely do. I mean, there are so many apps now that offer like 5-minute workouts, 5-minute stretches, or just even like if you have a pair of weights anywhere in your house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
little
Just
ones,
doing stuff
even
like
little
that.
ones.
I have resistant band leggings. So if it's a morning I know that I'm probably not going to go to the gym, I wear those because they're giving me some resistance on my legs. You know what I mean? And then I try to just move around the house or stand up when I'm, on my computer or on a Zoom. I'm standing, I'm trying to move. I definitely bought that walking desk, which I only used a couple times. It's
well,
like
I
the
know,
treadmill
like
thing.
when I'm at the sink and I'm doing the dishes or preparing things, I'll like this, and then, kind of push against the cupboard or whatever to, give myself some movement.
Some movement.
Yeah, while I'm in the kitchen, this very small space.
Right.
And yeah,
I
you
do
can
squats.
just create
I
it.
did squats at the microwave yesterday. Which is
that's
strange.
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody like walks by the windows, they're like, what is this woman doing? I'm just like squatting.
This is the new way to cook.
This is the way you cook. This is the way you push the buttons on the microwave. I'm not going to cook, but I am going to squat like that.
You found the secret.
I did, guys. It's just microwave squats. I think I'm going to write a book. But tell me about your line, your clothing line.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I wasn't even aware.
Yeah, I have a line. I should have brought some today, but oh well.
Well, we're going to have everything listed. Trust me, you're going to go and you're going to be like, oh my God.
I started, the funny thing about me when I started pole dancing is I would think of the costume first because I love to sew. And so I would start to create the costume, and then the character would come, and then the music or whatever. But there's always, they'd laugh at me and say, the costume always comes first with you. And then I made this pair of booty shorts for me to wear to pole dance. And they have the side ties, and they have a high waist. Because I thought, well, not everybody wants to run around the studio with their belly out all day long. But when you need to get on the pole and have more skin in the middle, you just fold them down. And then you can do that jade split or whatever you need more belly on the pole, because some things you really do, so you don't fall.
So yeah, let me ask, is that why when you mentioned too your thighs, so for everybody listening and myself, so you want sometimes more skin obviously on the pole for the traction to hold you up a little bit?
And that's one of the things people think, well, why don't we wear more clothes? But that's why.
Okay, there you go.
Because we have to have skin on the pole that can stick, because a lot of times I'm holding on between one of my sides and an arm over the leg over on the other side.
Right.
And if I didn't have that to stick there, if it was cloth, I would fall.
Slide,
Boom.
Yeah.
But so that one continues, that high-waisted booty short with the side ties is the best seller. Everybody buys it, even for yoga. They buy that one, and I just keep making it, and different colors and whatnot. But black is always the basic. Oh my gosh, I can't make enough black.
Oh my gosh,
don't we love our black?
We do love our black. I
mean,
look, actually, my daughter this morning told me that black was my favorite color, and it's not actually my favorite color. It's just that I wear it quite often. In fact, 2 days ago, she got out of her room in the morning and she handed me black leggings and the black sweatshirt. And I actually go, oh my God, thank you so much. I go, how did you know that I wanted to wear that? And she goes, you wear it every day. I was like, all right, get dressed. Let's get out. So I was just like, okay, I have different pairs of black leggings. They're not the same ones every day. But in her mind,
as long as she didn't fold them out of the laundry.
I know, serious. Oh my God, like, here you go. But that's like, I mean, honestly, but so this morning I was like, honey, what's your favorite color? And she's like, pink. She always says pink, but I like to test her. And I said, what's mommy's favorite color? And it's like purple. It's a shade of purple. And she's like, black. And I'm like, it's purple. She's like, black. I was like, all right, it's probably black too. But we like it. You know what I mean? I think everybody looks great in black.
Oh, they do. And
And I'm from New York, Jersey originally, so that's our color.
And no matter how many pairs of, say, black pants we have, we don't have that style of black pants.
They're totally different.
Yeah, totally different.
Every pair of pants is different. Every pair of jeans is different. I've got like 15 pairs of jeans. They're all different.
Yes. So we have to have more black.
So the black booty shorts are like a big seller.
Yeah. And then I fit my things on real women, which is different than some of the brands that do the digital pattern making. I make my own patterns and try them on real women so they can tell me, well, the lining needs to be tightened up inside because, I want to stuff it underneath or whatever. It's funny the things that people will say, but I want to make sure that it fits well and that the sizes are what they should be for American sizes.
Right.
So they are. So, and then I love quality. So I like to use really nice fabrics. The company that makes my clothes knows that I like that, so they use nice construction.
Right.
And except for the booty shorts, the other tops and the bottoms are fully lined, so that they're as pretty on the inside. In fact, some of them you can even reverse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
So, and I'm hoping to expand this because I like to do tango dance as well. Ooh. And so, I'm coming up with some different things, like some long leotards and short leotards that hopefully in the spring they'll be out. Amazing. And then maybe add in some little dance skirts that you can just kind of wrap over and,
I love it. I love all of that. Is your husband as, energetic and athletic as you?
No. He doesn't listen to me. But he's a great guy. And, the things that he does well that I don't, I'm like my daughter says, well, Mom, you got to be old at something, referring to me being old at technology. Yes.
Well, that's a choice. I feel like also that's a little bit of a choice. And I'm saying that because, so my dad is 80, he's almost 81, and he's really good with technology. He's an engineer, retired. He's really good in that sort of, what I mean? He did a lot of digital stuff too right before his retirement. And He's really good at getting it. I think initially it takes him, like if he's trying to order from DoorDash and put his credit card in, he's a little bit like, what's going on here? But when it's like a program, when he works with Photoshop or any of those like editing softwares, he's really, he can pick it up really, really quick. And he's the person that will stay up all night, as am I, and figure it out. But I think even for me,
I think you're right. It's a choice.
It is a choice. Like when somebody's like, "Oh, have you gone on PitPat?" which is like the new Snapchat. Like I don't know, whatever's coming out. It's like TikTok, this, that. Something comes out, so like you got to do this, and you just post your emotions. I don't even know. But I'm like, no. I make the choice. I'm like, I'm not going to figure out how to do it. I don't want to learn. My brain is already at capacity. I've already like emptying files to learn new things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm going to have to learn some of it because my daughter is so young. But certain things I'm like, I'm not learning, I'm not figuring that out. You know what I mean? Like this is like, I don't have a landline and I don't have cable. Good enough. I still have a droid and that is a choice. You droid haters out there. Then everyone's like, get an iPhone. But I mean, like there are certain things that I will pick up right away and I'm like, I have to learn about that. And then there's certain things that I'm like, no, I don't think I have to.
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of went back and analyzed this. I think what happened with me is that while the kids were growing up, I was so much better at running around and handling the things within the house. And then my husband was much better at the computer things, like if their homework and this and that. So he did what he did better and I did what I did better.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, whereas like, well, if I were to try it, it would take a lot longer.
Right. You would have figured it out, though.
I would have, yes.
But then you wouldn't have been able to do, I made a comment the other day.
So everybody could, get to bed on time.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, I made a comment about that recently about everybody's like, you can have it all. And I'm like, no, you can't have it all. No, you can have little bits of a lot of things, but if you focus on one thing, you put your energy into one thing, other things are just that they're going to suffer a little bit. Not suffer is a bad word, but like you're not going to give them as much attention. So if I'm concentrating more on this thing, like if I'm doing more stand-up because I'm getting ready for a special, unfortunately, I can't spend as much time with my daughter. If I spend so much time with my daughter, then my stand-up, I don't perform as much. And that's okay. These are choices that we're making. You know what I mean? If it was only you, let's just say you were a single mom or your husband was like, I want to do all the cooking and the sewing. And you're like, okay, well then I'm going to figure out how to work this remote. Yeah, I mean like.
Where's that button go?
Yeah, well, exactly. Okay, guys, we'll watch TV in like an hour after I figure out how this remote works. But I mean, it is. We find something that we're like, okay, I'm going to put my energy into that. And that's okay. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. I'm not saying it like that at all.
Well, and I think that one of the long-running misconceptions or messages given to women is that we can do it all.
Yes.
And that really makes us ragged. It really does. So, yes, we can do the things that we want to. We're very capable, but we do, in order to preserve our sanity and our energy, we need to focus and do things well.
Yes.
We need to focus on the things that are important to us and not be everything for everybody and this member of that committee for the school and that and this and that. I did some of that. I loved it.
Right.
But it was choices. It's like I did that well and raise the kids. That's super important. If you have kids,
so
my God.
And it is a really very difficult job. Whether you're a single parent like myself or you're a two-parent household, it doesn't matter. It is brutal.
Well, I think that there was
you have multiple children.
There was a quote from Jackie Kennedy and Onassis, and she said, "If you screw up raising your kids, nothing else matters."
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything else that we do might be good, it might not, or whatever, but you have to raise your kids and do a good job at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to.
I'm sure you are.
It is one of those things where you're like, what am I doing? You just like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, when you raise your children, I don't care who you are, you have those moments you're like, well, they'll be talking about this in therapy. Like, I definitely have that. I'm like, she'll probably be talking about this in therapy.
Oh, well, I had great parents, but were there things that I would have changed about their parenting? Yeah, there were some, but that's hindsight. I'm grateful for the good things that they did, and they did a lot of good things. And I'm sure that my kids will look and go, well, like Mom could have done something this or that. I don't know what it is. They haven't brought it up.
One day they will. I'm kidding. No, but I think it's when you become a parent that you honestly appreciate, obviously this is, again, not new information, but you appreciate what your parents
did for you.
you.
Oh, My mom had passed on by the time I had my first. And when I took her home, the first day we were home, I was like, oh my God, my mom did this for me. It was a shocker. You know, have this my mom did this for me, because I realized now, I'm not going to run out the front door. No, I ran out the front door, loaded up with all kinds of paraphernalia and the screaming kid.
It's really, that is a workout in itself. But it is one of those things where it's like, I was just reading like 8 tips you can do to improve your life.
Oh, okay.
And
that sounds
one of them
good.
is move.
Yeah,
Exercise. Exercise and getting out in nature. Another one was wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I know. But they're like, think about all the extra time you have.
Does that hour even exist?
I know. Well, it does I'm still like, thankfully she sleeps until 6:30. Yeah. But I woke up this morning at 5 and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I was like, what am I supposed to do right now? I can't actually work out because she'll hear it. There are certain things I can't do. So some of those tips they don't apply to everyone. You can't.
Okay, let's go on to number 3.
So the other one was, what was the other one was, obviously, this one I love. Brain dump. And they didn't say brain dump, but I'd gotten this from something else that I read. Every night before you go to bed, write out a list of things that you're grateful for, and things that upset you that day. So you're getting it out of your head. And then also what you want to do the next day. So you're making like a to-do list. And it's called the brain dump because it's true. Your brain is holding on to a lot of that stuff. When you get it on paper and you say it out loud, not just the things you're grateful for, which is very important, but talk about the stuff that upset you or bothered you, so you're getting it out.
I love that one.
It's just, I love that one too, because a lot of times we go to bed, that whole like, don't go to bed mad. And if you're just going to bed by yourself sometimes, you're not even mad at someone else. You're just mad at, I didn't do this today, or this happened today, or my flight was canceled, I lost my luggage. Get it out on a piece of paper and sort of clear your brain. Yeah. And then also write down the things that you want to do tomorrow. You might get to that list, but it has been
excellent.
Very helpful for me. That's the one that I think, besides walking in nature and trying to exercise, and drink more water, I try to implement every night before I go to bed.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, because sometimes I'll find myself, I'll have to get up because I'll think of something and I'll have to position it in front of the coffee maker or whatever, so I'll remember it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I love that one.
It's a great one because you don't realize how simple of a thing it is that it really frees up that space in your brain.
Yeah, and then you can sleep.
Yes, you can sleep because you've written it down. You know that it's on paper, so you're going to bed, your brain
You're not
going
to forget it. Yeah.
You're not going to forget it. And also, again, like writing down the things that have upset you. I think, that's just another thing that's been put upon us as far as a woman, like, keep it inside. You got to keep moving. Don't bitch to anyone. Like, I've heard that for, like, my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, my motto for a very long time was, it's more important to be happy than it is to be right. You know what I mean? So I pushed a lot of stuff down, and I didn't like advocate for myself in certain areas of my life. And now it's like, I say what I feel, I speak my truth, and if I didn't get it out that day, I'll write it down.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So that I get it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like that helps. I feel like when you're in a bad, negative space, it affects your body. And your health. Yeah,
that's excellent. I love it. I think that to me kind of goes along with the drinking the water. It's sort of a cleansing of getting all the bad stuff out. And that works with it on more of an emotional basis. Because that is important that you don't carry that stuff forward. I think those are the things that really age us in the negative.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, I lost a friend of mine to a horrible disease, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of like stiff person syndrome, but to the extreme. It was very, very sad. Mm-hmm. And he was first diagnosed with Parkinson's before that, and because it mimicked it, and then they realized that it wasn't, and it was far worse, and then he unfortunately passed away because like everything sort of shuts down. But I honestly believe that it was sort of like it lay dormant in his body, and he, 7 years prior, in a freak accident, lost his eldest son. So when I started working with him, he was my boss, he had lost his son in an accident, and he had passed away. And I believe the trauma of that, because ever since that, when we were working, his health was always declining. He had back pain, he had a lot of pain. And you hear about people that have, that have had like an accident or a traumatic event, and then they're suddenly diagnosed with like Parkinson's or, dementia or cancer. And I honestly believe that that was laid dormant in his body.
Yeah,
His body was so full of grief for so long. I mean, he was just never the same, which I can't even imagine. And I feel like it really took a toll on him. You know what I mean?
I think you're right.
'Cause he was a young man, and it really just ravaged his body. And it's not like, oh, you should have gotten over it. That's not what I'm saying at all, because I looked at him and I just really felt for him. And he had, 3 other kids.
Yeah.
It's really, it's something like that is really traumatic. You hear about people, they get into a car accident, and then all of a sudden they have like a disease, they have something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it releases it in their body.
Yeah, I really think so. I've always said, the body always wins. So when you have something like that, you have to say, what do you need, body, from me to give you so that you will do what I need? And I think in a case like that, the emotions took over and the body didn't get what it needed.
It didn't.
And it was probably somewhat willful. We won't know, but possibly. It's things to think about. But yeah, the body always wins. And that's why, wherever you apply it, whether you apply it to pole dancing, an injury, whatever, you have to say, okay, I have an injury. I need to step back, give it what it needs so that it can give me what I need. And
That's good advice.
I think that emotional thing was a shut off of giving his body what it needed.
Yeah.
Possibly. And
I mean, yes,
there, so
at that time his lifestyle wasn't the best, eating what he was eating and all of that. But I mean, obviously, that has a lot to do with emotional,
emotions.
The emotions, you know what I mean? A lot of the emotional factors that took place. It's sad because I also know people that have had an injury and they're in a negative headspace, so they don't heal. Like you know what I mean? You were already doing the things and working on, your body before your hip replacement, and you already had a mindset listening to your doctor. Well, and your doctor, it sounds like he's very supportive, which is great. And again, some doctors are just going to be like matter of fact. That's why you have to be an advocate and be like,
you do, yes.
Okay, great. We're going to get this done, and then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm going to give my body the time it needs to heal.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like, oh, poor me. I can't do this anymore.
Exactly.
Oh, no. You know what I mean?
It's more of an attitude of, well, let me see what I can do.
Right.
One little morsel at a time. And I know when I was interviewing for my doctor. I talked to a few of them, and I liked them all. I just liked him the best because he was a young research guy at USC, and he seemed to want to be able to do what I needed. He did a lot of thinking about what he was going to do for me in specific to get my body to work the way I wanted it to. So you have to, and again, that's being your own advocate.
It really is.
Yeah, you don't have to accept negativity if you don't want to. You can say, okay, well, now things are a little different, and, just work with it.
So many people just are like, well, this is what they said, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Or I know people that are so scared of putting the work in, and they just they might have an injury or their knees might, not be working as well. And they're like, I can't work on it, right? And it's like, well, then you're just living with chronic pain. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything for your body. Your body is telling you it needs help. And you're right. Like the body always wins, but also we're in this body for however long as we are.
This is our first house.
Yes.
This is where we live.
This is our starter home and our permanent home, guys.
Exactly.
But this is it. This is our house. And you need to take care of the house. You need to take care of the foundation, the exterior. Get that Botox, ladies. I'm like, fill it up. But you know what I mean? Like I try to take care of the foundation and each room in general, but I could definitely be better at it. But that's another thing too. Love where you're at and accept where you're at now. If you're trying, that is great. Baby steps. You don't have to be like, well, I can't do this, so I'm giving up. Whatever you do today is great. Even if it is 5 minutes of something that is good for you and your body, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And, you hit another note, actually 2 notes. So let me see if I can connect these. One thing is that you talked about fear or scared. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so take your fear and make it a concern. Like, I'm afraid to climb that pole because I might fall. I have to use the pole because,
No, it's good.
Yeah. So fine. Okay, so now what are you going to do about it? You are concerned, so you get a trainer or take classes, you get a crash mat, you get a spotter, and you take things one little step at a time. So you alleviate that fear by taking care of it. Now, the other thing, if I can just remember what we were talking about. Oh, I know what it was. The interesting thing is I did some work in images and wardrobe and that kind of stuff. And it always got to me when somebody would come in and go, well, I'm going to buy new clothes when I lose weight. Example. And I would say, well, but today is today. And you have a body to dress. And are you either going to dress it well and present yourself nicely today, or are you going to wait until you lose weight? If you lose weight.
Right.
So in the meantime, you're not presenting your best.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, we need to work with what we have now and make the best of it, and then make plans to improve it.
That is such great advice. Such great advice. Oh my God, this was so great. Can you tell everyone where they can find you? And I mean, I'll have this listed on the podcast too, but if people want to find you.
Well, they can. I have 2 Instagram accounts. At Mary Carol, MaryCaryl Designs. That's the one that I use mostly for my design, but you'll see some, pole dance and stuff because I'm wearing my designs. And then the other one is at Mary Carol, Caryl, Glam. Yeah, those are my Instagrams, and of course, there's Facebook. Most people.
I'll have everything listed, which is so great. Yeah. We say Facebook. Remember when Facebook was like the thing?
Yeah, I know.
And then everyone's like, no, Instagram is where you post your pictures. I was like, wait, so I post them on Facebook and then Instagram, and then everyone's like, no, TikTok is where you post your videos. I'm like, so it's just the Facebook, and then everyone's like, no, this is where. I'm like, that's why I I checked out after TikTok.
Yeah,
we're done.
I'm on TikTok, but I not really. I have an account. I'm just not active there. I just kind of like, oh my God, it's so much. But the 2 Instagrams are the best place to reach me. Yes.
Yes, and check out her stuff. Check out her pole dancing, and check out her apparel, which I'm going to be doing. Get those booty shorts, girls.
Oh, I love the booty shorts. They're so comfy.
I'm getting the booty shorts. I'm just wearing them around the house. My daughter's gonna be like, "Why are you wearing my shorts?" Thank you guys for listening. My name is Jodi Miller, and remember, God, unless you're in the military, please don't call us ma'am. Catch you next time.